Hello everybody, and welcome to another Rust cinematic tutorial. Of course, in this one I've been getting a lot of requests on how to make my character talk like it is now, like a lot of creators do in their videos, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do it. Now, be aware that these commands work on servers you have permissions on, so typically build servers are great. I use Intoxicated Sandbox, they're wonderful. Actually, I'd recommend if you want to find a good server to do your cinematics on, I'm going to put a screenshot on screen. Pick these ones. They always have low player accounts, and they are fantastic to work with. Now, Rust recently just came out with the new gesture command, which allows you to do upper body motion, so you can have your character walk around normally and still talk, instead of sort of floating around, like you can see on screen here. So that's what my character is currently doing, and I'm going to be showing you how to do this and how to do other custom animations on your own server. Now, these do show up in demo recordings, so it is great to use if you want to do some cool cinematic scenes, like you're wanting to make like a mini short film, or make your character talk in a voiceover. They're fantastic to use. Now, all of this information I'm getting is from the Rust wiki, which I will provide a link to in the description. So if you want to go read about this, Facepunch has put out a lot of information on how to make your cinematics better. I would highly recommend going to read all of it, along with watching my other tutorials on cinematics. So this is Maxima here. Maxima is my character model, as you may know from watching my TikToks, and Maxima is going to be subject to some character animations in this video with their very nice Movember mustache. Now, Facepunch has put out two sets of commands we're going to be talking about. We have the cinematic commands and we have the gesture commands. Now, these aren't the gestures you get by holding down B and putting up your hands to say you're friendly, or, you know, waving at somebody and telling them to come here or whatever. These are different ones that we can use on cinematic servers, so any server you have permissions on, and they kind of spruce up your character's animations and make them look nice. So instead of just nodding up your head and walking around, you can actually play a talking animation so that your character looks like they're actually giving a speech. You can also make your player fall down, you can make them sit, you can make them hold their gun like they're an NPC instead of holding it like they're about to shoot. So I'm going to get into my debug camera here, and you can get into that mode by typing in, I go to my console, a debug camera. That gets you into a third person mode. So I'd go into this mode here, and we're going to be using Maxima to show you how to do player animations. The first thing we want to do is check the server and see if it is going to let other players see this. By default, it typically does not let other players see this. So if this is your own private server and say you have a friend on it, if you want them to actually see your animations, make sure you go into your console and type in server.cinematic, and if I press enter, it's set to true by default. You can type in true or false for this value. If it's set to true, your animations will be able to be seen by players across the server. Otherwise, it is only client-based, so only you can see it. So what we want to do is we want to get a list of the actual animations we're able to use in this case. We're not going to talk about the gestures at the moment, just the cinematic commands. Really, they're the same thing, just applying to different parts of the body. But first off, we're going to open up our F1 console, and we're going to type in cinematic underscore list. And this is going to bring up a big list of everything that Facepunch has added for us to use. Now, over here where it says state name, all of these commands here can be entered as an animation. Over here, it just gives us some more information about the name of it. We're not going to use this part. And then it also provides the length of it. Now, a lot of these, especially the longer ones, they actually loop. So they won't stop until you tell them to stop. So if you want to do a cinematic animation on your server, you can actually bind these to keys. And I'll go into that in a minute, so that you can toggle them as you're acting out your scene without having to stop, go into your F1 console, and cut out parts of your cinematic, which is kind of awkward. So first off, let's talk about talk_01. Now, this is the first talk animation they added, and it was added a long time ago. However, they've added some new ones since. So this one is kind of the bare bones one that we're going to look at, and we'll see how it looks. So in your F1 console, type in cinematic. I cannot spell it for the life of me. _play. Press space, and now we want to put in the name of the animation. So in this case, we're using talk_01. So talk_01, and I press enter. If I go to my console here, our character has started to act out, and you could tell they're using their legs a bit. So if you try to walk around, if I walk around, you can see my legs aren't actually moving, and if you look at my shadow, my character is 100% still in the animation. So this can be quite funky, and we don't actually want this when we want to, say, walk around and talk. So I'll get into how you can stop that in a minute. But for the meantime, we're going to look at some of these other animations here. So if we want to make our character stop this, all we have to do is type in cinematic _stop, and our character reverts back to their normal state. Or you can switch and just play another animation while the other one's going, and it'll just switch over to the new one. But in the meantime, we're going to go back to our console, go to cinematic play. Let's look at the newest one, 05. This one was added a couple wipes ago, so I think it was about 4 months ago they added it in, and it was quite nice to see it was added in. It's a little more of an enthusiastic one where the character's actually like in the scene, they're actually talking to you. You know, they're passionate about whatever they're talking about. So this is a fantastic one for people that want to make, you know, enthusiastic intros for their video. So this animation is quite cool and all. I'm going to stop it here really quick. I want to talk about some of the other ones, like loot_ground. Now this one's actually quite a cool one. I've used this in my TikToks before. I had a lot of comments asking how I did that. We're going to do cinematic_play, and we're going to go loot_ground. _1. And you're going to see my character actually goes down and they start digging, which is quite a cool animation to use if you want to simulate your character in a battlefield trying to loot somebody's body. That's a really cool way you could use this command. And 3. So that's just a shorter version one. They're all kind of the same, but you'll notice this is actually one thing I want to talk about. Your character isn't in their standard state. If I go back out and I try moving around, they still don't move. So while the animation didn't loop, it is currently in a looping idle state. But it's not the normal idle state. It's just your character's like sitting like it's in Blender and it's just looking off into the void like it doesn't know where it is. Of course, I mean, Maxima's aware of things, but they can't move, they're paralyzed. So go back into your console and just do a cinematic_stop to revert them back. And now they're breathing again. That's a good thing. Another cool one you can use is cinematic_play debug_a pose. Perfect. Your character is now doing a half T pose. Isn't that wonderful? Also, for some reason, their eyes are slightly inverted and they look like they are having a, sort of a crisis. That's just wonderful, isn't it? So some other cool ones you can use are skydiving_land. I get rid of this. _land. This one, your character jumps up, they look up at you like they're about to probably sprint at you. That's just wonderful. That's a cool one you can use for some scenes. Maybe somebody's jumping off the base and you want to have a shot of them landing. You can activate this in the air by binding it to a key. Another one we can use is going to be preview. Let's do, I think choking's a cool one. _all. So some of these ones are pretty enthusiastic. You could make some interesting scenes out of these. I just like playing around with these sometimes when I'm trying to think of TikTok ideas. I just go through and figure out what looks cool and what I can make an idea off of, right? But these are all some pretty cool ones. I'm not going to talk about any more of them because I want to get to the gestures, which just came out. They're super cool. But you can go through all these, try them out, and see what you want. You can also get sitting ones. You can actually sort of position your character on a rock like this and have them talk as if they're sitting on the rock, which is a cool one you can do. Now, aside from that, we're going to hop into our gestures here. So by default, of course, you can hold B and you can go through all of these ones. You can raise the roof if you're feeling like it. That's always a fun one. Let's move out of the way to stop that one. So we're going to go back out to our debug mode here. Perfect. And we want to look at the gesture commands, and they're very similar in the way that they work to the cinematic commands. Okay, so to actually make our character perform one of these gestures, what we're going to do is we're going to open up our F1 console again. I'm just going to clear this so that you can see everything I do a little better. And we're going to start with list_cinematic gestures. If I press enter, these are the current ones that FacePunch has added. So we have all 5 of the talk ones, similar to the cinematic version. We've got hold_relax, we've got exclaim_01, and we've got hat_tip. We're going to look at the talk ones first, because these ones are pretty cool in the way that they work. So to actually activate one, we go gesture, space, and let's do talk_04. Now you can see here, my character's legs aren't moving, but my character is, moving their upper torso, their arms. And the cool thing is, we can walk around, but if you look at our shadow, there we go. You just can't really see it in this shadow here. But we can actually walk around while our animation is playing. And I'll actually start a cinematic recording so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to record a quick cinematic here so I can go into another perspective and show you how the character is actually able to walk around and give you a speech while they're moving around, which is a lot better than when they're floating around, of course. Now, as far as I'm concerned, say we're in the talk animation here, you can't actually get this animation to stop using a command. The only way is to go back out of your command debug here and press right click, and you'll notice that now my character just switched their FOV a little bit, and no longer are they talking. There's not a command you can use, but you can just right click to stop the animation. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the only thing you can do about it. Okay, so by default, when you're holding a gun in this game, it looks like you're about to shoot. You know, the stock of it's in your armpit, and you're pretty steady. You're ready to aim and shoot your gun. Now, when you're trying to record a cinematic, this isn't the most natural thing. Of course, if you look at any of the NPCs, by default, their guns are pretty relaxed, and they're just hanging out. So if you want to make like some guards in your cinematic, or you want to make your character walk around normally holding their gun, like a normal person would, we can do that. So let's do back into our console. Gesture, space, hold _ relaxed. And if we do that, our character can actually walk around normally. I'll make another cinematic demo for this. And they actually look normal. So, of course, I can't see this when I'm looking down unless I alt look. But we can walk around now and, you know, our character isn't going to look weird as they run around like they're about to shoot. If you hold right click, of course, it'll get you out of this one and get you back to your ability to shoot, of course. Now, of course, in the meantime, we're not going to see a whole lot of improvements to this system. Of course, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you're looking to get my cinematic green screens like these, I've made a load of them that you can use and import into your videos, so you don't actually have to make your own if you don't have a server that works for this. So check out my Discord and make sure you join it. If you have any questions, join the Discord, ask there. I'd be more than happy to chat with some of you guys and see what you make. So please show me all your work, and see you guys later.